Monument is an ancient African symbol of resurrection called a Tekken that comes from the mythology of Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And Heru was born of a virgin birth on December 25th. Evidence of the Holy Trinity dates back to ancient Nubia, or Ta-Nehisi, about 3,300 BC. I'm Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. And my 12-week online course is now available on demand. So you don't have to worry about joining us live in class on Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Visit my website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Register for this 12-week online course right now. You see me on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You see me on Faraji Muhammad Show The Culture talking about this online class. I'm a historian, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. And also, I will be doing a live session on Saturday, September 16th, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, September 17th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of this online class as well. This is great for teachers, study groups, and homeschools. The content is PG-13. Register right now. In this course, we deal with thousands of years of history that lead up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Then we go through and analyze the transatlantic slave trade. We'll look at ancient African empires like ancient Kemet or Egypt, Nubia, Axum, Carthage, and the Carthaginians, and Hannibal Barca in the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC. We look at shocking archaeological discoveries that are causing experts to rethink everything and push the timelines back. We deal with the African presence in the Americas dating back at least 51,700 years ago. There are 15 books that we reference in the course. There's 80 to 100 articles. You don't have to buy any of these books to follow along. In the course, we show you the text right on the screen. Did you know that the Khoisan from Southern Africa have the oldest DNA on the planet? They are the short-statured Africans who are the ancestors of the Ainu and the Twa. We'll look at the African presence that dates back at least 51,700 years ago. And one of the references we use is Dr. David Imhotep's book, The First Americans Where Africans Documented Evidence. Why is Christmas celebrated on December 25th, and what does this have to do with astronomy and Heru, who the Greeks called Horus? Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and then Sundays I teach Black resistance movements, 1800 to 1960.
Now, if you like the type of information that was shared here today, I mentioned this earlier, visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and register for the online history classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay. Saturdays, and normally I would teach one today, but I said, okay, we're going to interview Dr. Chike Akua. So next Sunday we'll be in class. But Saturdays, I teach a 12-week online course that I created called Ancient Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We had a fantastic session yesterday. We dealt with the Dogon and how the Dogon originate in the Nile Valley region of Africa, the Dogon of Mali. We talked about Benjamin Banneker, and it's believed that Benjamin Banneker's grandfather, Banneker, was West African and possibly Dogon. We talked about astronomy, all of this, and the connection between the Dogon and ancient Kemet. The supreme being amongst the Dogon, whose name is Ama, comes from Amen. And we know Amen, Amen-Ra Ptah, the supreme being in ancient Kemet. So we do this class Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's on sale, $80. It's a 12-week online course. This time around, we're going to do 13 or 14 sessions. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch it anytime. Okay. So as soon as you register for this 12-week online course, you can watch the class that we did yesterday and the previous weeks. And even after the 12-week online course is over with, you still have access to the full class. This content, I would say, is PG-13. It's not overly graphic or anything like that. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We take you throughout history. We show some of the interviews I've done with some of our scholars, like Professor Kaba Kamene, Professor James Small, Tony Browder, Dr. David Imhotep, and others. Sundays, I teach Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. We go through history chronologically and look at this history. We look at what leads up to the Civil War taking place. We look at the Reconstruction era, Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, to understand how we got to where we are today, to understand where we need to go from here. And I created both of these two curriculums. We look at 80 to 100 articles in each class. There are book references as well. The first class is about 7 to 8 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books. We show you excerpts of the book right on the screen. Okay. And I'm a historian. I've been studying history 31 years. And these two courses that I teach is the culmination of a lot of research and interviews I've done on the African History Network show. And I've been hosting the African History Network show. I created the show. I've been hosting for 13 years as well. Okay. So there's a PowerPoint presentation with over 200 slides in the first class that we use. I put together the PowerPoint presentation, put together the curriculum also for both of these classes. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We look at work from Dr. David Imhotep, but we also talk about the 1619 Project. Now, today is August 20th, 2019, the 403rd or 404th anniversary, I should say, of August 20th, 1619. Today is the 404th anniversary of that, when the White Lion pirate ship, which is a Dutch pirate ship, as well as the Treasurer, come into Virginia. And it was really Hampton, Virginia, as opposed to Jamestown, like people think. It comes into Point Comfort, and 20 and odd Africans are exchanged for food and water. At this point in time, codified slave laws don't exist in any of the 13 colonies. The first of the 13 colonies that have codified slave laws was Massachusetts in 1641. They come to Virginia right about 1661 or so. Okay. And they don't hit all these colonies at the same time. These first 20 and odd Africans are put into a form of indentured servitude. They're going to be released after about 3 to 5 years. To understand how, now this is an important article here that everybody should read, is called Much of What We've Been Told About Virginia's 1619 Africans is Wrong. Much of what we've been told about Virginia's 1619 Africans is wrong. And also, one of the books we use in the class is Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. In chapter 2 of this book, he lays out how a lot of this stuff evolved here in this country. Okay. The colonies weren't originally designed to have slavery. If they were, they would have had slavery when it was originally set up, because England originally got involved in the transatlantic slave trade in 1562. Okay. But what happens is that when you look at chattel slavery evolving, that's going to largely be after 1675 and 1676 and what's known as Bacon's Rebellion. And Bacon's Rebellion is going to be after 1675, 1676, right about 1680, 1681, where the term white becomes widely used in the colonies to denote those of European ancestry. And what they were trying to do is break up the alliance between enslaved Africans, what we would call African Americans, or enslaved Africans, African indentured or free African people, poor whites, white indentured servants, poor whites, etc. There was an alliance between these different groups because they were all being oppressed on the tobacco plantations in Virginia, and they were being oppressed by the ruling elite. and they realized that they had a common enemy. So there was a rebellion that was led by a Virginia tobacco plantation owner named Nathaniel Bacon in 1675 in the colony of Virginia. And in 1670, it was about 500. It was about 500 rebels. Okay. In 1676, these rebels burned down the town of Jamestown, Virginia. Okay. How many people knew this? In 1676, they burned down the town of Jamestown, Virginia. And I was speaking on I was speaking at the Midwest Decarbonization Conference in November 2022. And I was on a panel discussion with Native Americans and African Americans. And we were talking about a shared experience, but we were also dealing with the fight for reparations for African Americans and the fight to get Native American treaties enforced. And, you know, one of the problems is that when we to really understand reparations and repairing the damage of a legacy of Jim Crow segregation, slavery, redlining, housing discrimination, things like this, you have to understand the laws and policies that were put in place that brought you to where you are, that continue to inflict the harm. Okay, reparations, the root concept is to repair damage that was done. We first have to analyze the damage that was done to African people, the laws and policies put in place. And as I say, as a historian of 31 years, as a student of Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor James Small, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, we also have to analyze who African people were and what African people had before we were put into an institution of slavery, to understand the damage that was done, to understand that what has to actually be repaired. Just thinking giving cash payments is repairing the damage of a legacy of slavery. No, it's not. Because if everybody watching this broadcast wants to be honest, we know damn well if we all got $1 million today, white people will have it all back by this time next week. And all the laws and policies that have maldistributed wealth, power, resources will continue to be in place that continue to inflict the harm. So cash payments can be part of a comprehensive repairing the damage of a legacy of slavery and Jim Crow segregation, etc. It can be part of comprehensive reparations, but it cannot only be the form of reparations, because once you spend the money, you have not changed the laws and policies that